What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. This is my CSP set number 6. Okay, we do step number 1 first. Um, so yes, class book. Um, I added def, and this is just like when I print it, what book would return. Um, so I add self first because all its traits are from self when I initialized it. Um, And so I return the formatted string self.id, which is the book ID, the title by the author, in the year, in the genre. Yes. And then, well, inherits this qualities. Um, and then the next one is building the index. Um, so I update the index and then I just get word list, um, which formats the author name, the year, the genre, and the title. Um, and there are certain stop words. I removed the stop words I don't remove the stop words for the author title. No, for the book title, because there are some words that it filters out, which are relevant for the title. For example, little. And this is also relevant for future parts of the pset, so made it false. Um, so yeah, it's step number 3. So I just basically check. So this is like my else. Like if the this is for future parts of the pset, I will explain this. But for everything else, if it's just like a normal query, then I just get I I use the function get wordless on query, and I'm not going to explain get wordless because I didn't make it, and this is boilerplate code that came with the pset. Um, but basically it just like formats query. Um, and so it also like breaks it into chunks. So like it'll break it into like its constituent words. So for example, like little women is your query, then it would break it into like little comma woman, um, which is a very high level explanation of that. And then I will iterate through the list of like word in words. Well, I'll iterate through all the values. And if word is in the index, I just like cross-check it. Then my set of results, I will update it with the index of that word. And then I'll return results and then can check if this works. Can check women. And basically all this does is just like check if any of the query words pop up anywhere across title, author, genre, year. And so we can also do the year 1962, and so it returns all the movies made in 1960, books made in 1962. You could also do author names, Longo, and A Wrinkle in Time, and this works. And then the next step is step number 4. And so if the query starts with a quotation and it ends with a double quotation, then we want to return you want to return the query um only we only want to return indexes that exactly match the query. So what we can do is, well, I just made a new variable phrase. It's just the query sans the quotations. And then it's the same process for words. You format the phrase. And then for word in words, if the word is not in the index, then you have to return the set because if any word is missing, no result is possible. But then for your result set, you can add your index and then only the first word that you're checking because um, you're going to check all the like following words after this first word, and then this and like this ampersand equal is equal to like you only want um values in the set. Like you only want the set in which the previous values from result um is included. Um and so you compare it between result and this new set index of this specific iteration of this word. Um and so for example, your first word is like little and then so you like result is like little and then you're checking all the like following words coming after little, it's like woman. And so you only want results, like indexes, you only want this to return little and then like only results that include little and then the following word in that specific order. And then so we can check this by doing exactly what I said earlier. Um, little woman. Yes, it works. We can also check um well and a wrinkle in time. Yes, very nice. And then so for step number 5, if the query ends with an asterisk, then well, I just made another variable. It's just the query minus the asterisk. And then for key in index, I just like iterate through the index. If this if it matches um like between prefix and like prefix, which is my query, and the key in the index, like for example, does the index key start with light? Then I'm going to update my result set with the index of that index into the index at that specific key. So I can check this by light with it. Yes. And so it ends with like light and lighthouse and also lightning. So it checks across the entire index and it will fill in words, like fill in the rest of the word that you type it. Um, yes, we can also try wo and so it also fills in woman, 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 um, and also like Virginia Woolf. It also checks like across author names as well. Wonderful. And then for number 6, well, okay, for the past one, we can also check like with years. And so it returns any book that was written in the 1990s. And then for ranking in step number 6, um, I asked generative AI. mm, okay. Okay. I asked generative AI to make a ranking in which it would, first of all, rank based on like relevance, based on how many query words appear in the title. If the title starts with the query word, which I weighed more heavily, I believe like if in the user's mind they write woman first, then the title probably begins with the word woman. It's probably not hidden, more hidden deep. I would like score the titles um that with woman further in, not first lower than if it's began with woman. And then I combine this into a score. Well, I basically told AI how to rank it, and I gave it the parameters that I wanted to start with the query word and also count how many query words appear in the title. And then it came up with a score and it sorts by score descending. And it also uses the book ID, which is just like the ranking. Well, obviously I'm ranking, but like the book ID based on like 1 to 500. Um, it uses like if the book ID is higher, if one book's book ID is higher than the other, then it will use it, it will weigh it higher as a tiebreaker. So more often than not, it doesn't take this into consideration, and it returns assorted. And I think this is a good ranking system because I think it's very relevant in that if you're searching for a specific title or like a specific author, well, actually, I'm only ranking the titles. So honestly, this doesn't take into account author relevance. So how popular the author is, or maybe in particular, like what time frame. I don't take into account like how old a source is. I'm merely ranking based on like relevance based on title word matches, um, which is also helpful. I feel like more often than not when I search, I only really care about the title. But I feel like for people who don't have a sense of what they're looking for yet, it's not very good for exploratory data searches in which they're trying to discover relevant sources. This is good for people who are looking for a source that they already know of. And so I can test this. Okay, I can do woman. And so, in the past, Little Women would come first. Now, Women in Love comes first because woman comes first in the title, which is why I rank it first. Which, yeah, there are definitely, I could definitely take into account more things, like the year, the author, and those things. However, I think for me and my purposes, how I would search for things, I think it works quite well because it always peeves me when the titles are not like matching what I searched up in different search engines. Okay, thank you.